I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shooting Show, and welcome to today's program, friends. We're indeed very pleased to be here because each week is such a struggle, and we really appreciate everyone who's helped, because that's how we're here. A few people have helped. You know, today, as we're taping this, which is Thursday, heard about something that happened in Fort Worth, Texas, where a crazy man went in a church and shot several people, I think killed 6 people, and then shot himself. You know, friends, it's so amazing. Did you know that things like this didn't happen before Bill Clinton became president? Al Gore, Janet Reno, all these people now are asking, well, what's wrong? What's wrong? Well, it seems like there's a catastrophe. These people want gun legislation or anti-gun legislation so badly. And you know, friends, I tell you, we know that the CIA and some of the other groups within the United States government have been running mind control experiments since the 50s, maybe since before that. And remember, we used to see documentaries on how the Soviets would create, they called them moles or sleepers. And these folks would be programmed, and a lot of times they wouldn't even know there was anything wrong. And then they'd get a phone call, and they'd have a key word. Now, you know, this may sound crazy. Sounds crazy to me, but what's happening is crazy. Every time the socialists want to disarm us, there seems to be a convenient killing. Now, it's too coincidental, friends. Something's wrong here. And you see, we're not going to get the truth from the government. The same people, you know, I heard someone say, Janet Reno said, that people should be able to go to a place of worship without being shot. Well, weren't the Branch Davidians in their place of worship when the agents, commandos of the United States government went out there and gassed them and burned them and machine gunned them? Wasn't that a place of worship? Talk about hypocrites. Friends, they're talking confiscation now. Janet Reno, Bill Clinton, they say, well, we got to do something. They're talking confiscation. Janet Reno should not be licensed to own a gun, because I believe Janet Reno is a criminal. Bill Clinton couldn't even pass a security test to get on any military base under the United States in the world. Yet, you know, I told somebody the other day, said, if our election process was fair, if it was forthwith, upright, somebody like Bill Clinton could never be elected president of the United States. So that ought to give some people a clue right there. What's wrong with our party system? What's wrong with the manipulation we've gotten? And they're talking confiscation, friends. You know, these folks are rushing us toward global union, the New World Order, where we're all just numbers on a machine screen somewhere. And we get our orders, how we're going to live our lives, what we're going to do, how we're going to raise our children. You know, a minister has gone to the Massachusetts Supreme Court. He spanked his son and said it left pink marks on his behind. Well, I should. If it got a good spanking, yes. Now, what's wrong with that? And the court said, look, you promised not to do it again. The minister said, no, I'm not going to promise not to do it again. The kid needs a spanking. I'm going to spank him again. What's wrong with that? Friends, they've got to be stopped. They have to be stopped. You know, this great Dan Wesson, I'm about to go down to the Wild Ranch. I'm going to get to shoot down there Saturday. And certainly, I'll try to make a good showing for our program, for Dan Wesson. This is one of the great 460 Dan Wesson revolvers. This is nothing more than a machine, a tool. But you know what? These tools, like this great Kimber, and this Dan Wesson and others, these tools are used 50,000 times a week in defense of life, liberty, and property. 50,000 times a week. Yes, I'm sorry, anybody gets hurt. But you know, in a free society, you're going to have some nuts walking around, and apparently, thanks to some of these nut programs in the United States government, I would not be surprised if some of these coincidences, in fact, may not be coincidences, but you know, that sleeper or that mole or that patient they've had up there in the mental institution said, okay, let's program old Jimmy Bob here, let's program him to, if we need a convenient massacre of some children or some innocents. Let's see, when do we need that next legislation? Okay, let's see, we'll do it long. I wouldn't be surprised. What would surprise us now? Friends, they've got to be stopped. The only chance that you and I have is to reach more Americans. You know, I've mortgaged my home, mortgaged everything I have to stay here on the air. Some of you have helped. We're trying to get up the money now to get our uplink running. You know, how much do we care? Do we care? The biggest enemy that we as gun owners face is apathy among other gun owners. People that go to the hunting camp, well, I'm not going to vote, I don't care, I don't write letters. No, I don't. What do you mean you don't write letters? You know, so people are buying guns and putting back ammo, which I certainly recommend. My gosh, get all you can. But people say, well, I'm going to bury my gun, so, you know, they ain't going to get mine. Well, what good's your gun going to do you if everybody else is disarmed? I am pleading, those of us who care about this project, who care about our country, are pleading for your help. Will you please help us? Friends, we can make a difference. We can reach millions of people. Senator Smith's not the, you know, he's not the only one out there that feels this way. Millions of Americans. We can help support him. We can support other good candidates. We can reach more Americans. If we don't, trust me on this one, this gun, and all the rest of them are going to be in the hands of the United States government. A lot of them are going to be cut up. You know, I feel this way about the government buyback. Those who will go down and sell their gun back to the government or sell them to the government, they don't deserve them anyway. They don't deserve to be free. Let them go ahead and sign up to be slaves. But some of us are not going to sign up to be slaves, and we're not going to go. We're not going to go. Will you please join us? Will you help the shooting show stay on the air? Will you help us reach more people? Yes, please, if it takes going down and getting the lights, what I've done. I've gone down and gotten every nickel I can borrow. Will you please help us? If you will, if you can't, there's still time. They're talking confiscation. Some of us going to fight. It doesn't have to be in the streets. We don't want it there. We want it to be in the halls of where it needs to be in Congress. At the local level, we've got to stand up, friends. We have to. Will you please, 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 anything you can do to help us stay on there and help us get our uplink, help us get our programming going to more Americans. If you can please help us. The Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Dublin, Louisiana. Zip code is 71024. We have a great show for you today, friends. I don't know how long we have left. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of The Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Now, friends, here's one of the most important publications you can get. This is the Great Georgia Arms Catalog, and please write their phone number down, 1-800-624-6861. This is a tremendous catalog with the best ammunition prices available in the United States. Okay, well, here's a mention of the Shooting Show. Hey, that's reason enough to support them right there, but you get superior ammunition at superior prices. Let's look over here. Whoops, let's see, what do we see? 460 Rowland, yes indeed, but we also see a tremendous number of other things. 45 ACPs, 44 Magnums, 41 Magnums, certainly our defense load there, defense special 41 Magnum load available, but all kinds of others. 9mm, 357 SIGs, 44 specials, 30-06s, 7 mags, all kinds of neat stuff. Plus they have components. If you want to load your own, they'll sell you lead bullets, they'll sell you nostril bullets, all kinds of great features. Yes, in fact, they'll even sell you a 460 Rowland kit for the great 1911 guns. Cleaning accessories. Here's gunpowder for sale. Loading equipment for sale. Friends, give them a call today. These are some of the finest people, period, that I've ever had a chance to meet. Curtis Shipley and our good friend Larry Haney from Georgia Arms, and they're helping to support the shooting show. Give them a call today. Get a free catalog, 1-800-624-6861. And please don't forget to tell them you saw it here on our show. Now, friends, when you put a scope on any kind of gun, certainly this handgun, let me show you a tip that will really help you. One, get it centered well on your mounts and have them good and tight. Very important. And you see this knob right here, this adjustment. This is the windage adjustment. There's another one just like here for elevation. You need to mechanically center your scope first. You will screw this all the way in or out, either way, and then go all the way to the other direction. If you screw it out, screw it all the way down and count the revolution. So ever how many? In this case, this scope has 6 revolutions, one way or the other of this. So what you do is you'll come back to the central point, you'll come back 3, and that will be the mechanical center of your scope's adjustment. And that's how to get started in properly adjusting your scope. Yes, indeed. Let's try another one. Child's play, friends. Child's play. Let's get the next one. And we got one more. Now, friends, just show it. Of course, these guns shoot like rifles. Certainly, our 460 cartridge is a great deer cartridge out 150 or so yards. Yeah, further than that, but you're going to have to compensate for trajectory. But we're really excited about trying this gun down on Blackie Sleeva's competition. And that's something that a lot of you handgun hunters, this gives you an option that hasn't been available before, full moon clip loading in these great Dan Wessons. With certainly you can just leave your scope mounted on your barrel shroud when you don't want to use a scoped handgun or you want to carry it for defense or something. Just put on a shorter barrel or a different shroud. Very simple and a great idea, and we're very pleased to be associated with the great Dan Wesson company. Now, friends, we're going to try and do some pretty regular things here in our shop. And of course, I'm sitting here next to our Dillon 550 progressive reloader. And this is something I think that potentially could be very important for those of us that do some hand loading. And I cannot overstate the importance of getting into hand loading. This is a more advanced machine, say more than the single stage RCBS rock chucker that, and certainly some people do start off with one of the progressive loaders like this. I recommend a single stage loader because it is simpler until you learn the basics about loading, about small little things that we all need to learn before we get started in doing massive numbers of shells. Now then, something that I want to bring up today, you know, out of necessity, I have to go through, I load a lot of ammo here because that's the only way I can afford to shoot. And most of us out there cannot afford factory ammo. And by the way, Georgia Arms will sell you components, powder, bullets, cases, all kinds of stuff you need for hand loading. But something that is often overlooked, you know, primers are a little understood mechanism. And the primer, of course, is the part there in the base of your case head, that your hammer hits and ignites the powder. Well, primers by necessity are impact sensitive. The chemical compound, and as I understand it, the way primers are made, they're put into a flat plate, and the priming mixture is pressed into the cups. And of course, then the anvil, the other part, is added there. But what we're going to talk about briefly is those of us that go through a lot of primers in your tube, such as this is the primer tube here on this Dillon press, and you'll notice that it is a steel tube and has an aluminum tube inside it. There's a reason that's a steel tube. If in fact you had primer detonation or ignition in the tube, it's going to blow it straight up. And this is very, even your powder measure here is very high impact, some sort of rosin or plastic. It is not, it's not a lightweight. This is tough stuff what it's made of. But when you go through a lot of primers, there may be a little bit of primer residue that will accumulate in your, this is a pickup tube here, and you'll pick up the individual primers off the this. You load this and then you take it over here and you pull out the pin and your primers go down this tube. Okay, if you handle literally hundreds and even thousands of primers, such as I do, over a period of time, something you must think about, realize that some of these primers may have just a trace of priming compound on the outside of the primer. Okay, that's not that big an issue until maybe you get some buildup in the tube. So what you need to do, and here's what I do, I take Alka Rub, and I certainly take the pen out here, and I will wet a cloth patch with Alka Rub like so. Let's get it good and, I'm talking really wet, and I'll take a cleaning rod of some kind, this is a heavy duty wire, and I will push that wet piece of cloth down through this primer tube. Now that Alka Rub is going to dissolve, certainly help dissolve that priming compound, and I'll do this several times because we want to clean away all of that primer residue. Then I'm going to come back, and I've already, in fact, I cleaned this one this morning earlier, and I'm just demonstrating here. But run several patches through there. Of course, you want your tube completely dry. Of course, completely dry. And also, you take the little, this is the little gizmo here that lets you know low primers. This comes off, and you can take the primer tube out of here also, out of your shielded tube. Do the same thing. And of course, as we said earlier, you want your tube to be absolutely dry. You don't want any dampness at all from anything. But that's something that could prevent an accident. And you know, we need to prevent every accident that we can, because you know what? A prevented accident is one that didn't happen. So, and of course, I always wear safety glasses. Whenever I sit down at the press to do anything with powder or bullets, anything at all, I wear safety glasses. But that's something that could save a small tip, and you don't have to do it every 100 primers or so, but every 1,000 or so, I clean both of these tubes. I'm going to clean them good, my pickup tube and also the tube in the press, to remove whatever possible residue that could accumulate there. And it's just a chance, it's just no need taking. It's a simple thing. You also want to get away, you want to clean the powder and things away. You want to reload in as clean a situation as is practical. You know, a little few powder grains here and there won't hurt anything, but you don't want piles of powder or spilled powder, whatever else. You want to be careful.
Stay tuned for more of The Shootin' Show after these important messages.
here it is, friends, the great 460 cartridge, along with its baby brother here, which is certainly no slouch itself, the 464, the bottleneck, neck down to 40 caliber. But our 460 kits from Clark Custom Guns are available. 460 kits from $275. The 464 kits, including the loading dies, go for $299.95. We certainly have these now. Yes, we do have para-ordnance kits. We are now shipping kits for the para-ordnance guns. And we'll remind you that our good friend Dennis Crocker has these great Kramer holsters specifically made for our 460 guns that have been fitted with our kits. You can call Dennis for these great Kramer holsters. Incidentally, friends, every one of these that we sell, every one of them helps the shooting show stay on the air. So please, if you have one, please tell somebody else about it. If you'd like to, well, give us a call. The Shooting Show, 318-377-5189.
And now, friends, let's go back in time to 1995 on the Shooting Show and get some shooting tips from Jerry Michelig, the fastest revolver shooter in the world.
All right, what's a good stance for you when you're shooting like something real fast like that? How do you stand?
Well, the Weaver stance. The Weaver stance that came out in the 70s with the hot ticket, you know.
Right.
You presented the gun to the target, you pushed the gun, and you pulled with your left hand. So you push-pull.
Right.
Had nothing to do with shooting. You might saw wood that way. You know, it had nothing to do with actual shooting. It doesn't. It's a good story to tell somebody if you want to impress them with a lot of words. But in actual technique, if you leave your elbow bent, it acts as a shock absorber.
Really?
Okay. The worst thing you want to do is shoot a gun stiff arm.
Now the problem comes in where people have a limp wrist on semi-automatics. Now we talk about that from time to time.
Right. Yeah.
But what you're saying is your arm can be bent to work as a, but
Right.
your wrist is more important to be firm, isn't it?
Your wrist a lot. You lock your wrist.
Lock wrist.
Keep your elbow bent
Keep your elbow
a little
bent.
bit, and you hold the gun. You hold it with both hands. You're not trying to push or pull.
You're just holding
You're
the gun.
holding it. You want to hold it as tight as you can without the gun trembling.
Right.
And your left hand will put a lot of control, probably 50–70% of control of the handgun with your left hand.
Well, I see a lot of us where we don't know this till we talk to somebody like yourself.
And it's just not ideal holding a gun and pulling the trigger a bunch of times. It's just keeping the gun in relationship to your hand to keep it the track straight. That's one of the things, where you put your finger on the trigger. You know, it's very small things that lead up to a good performance. And that's the hard part. That's what took the 600,000 rounds of ammo, you know, downrange, to learn that.
Well, you know, it's like a musical instrument. Just because somebody may have a Stratocaster, a very fine guitar, a fine violin, does not necessarily mean they can play it. And someone with a mediocre instrument can sound better if they know how to play it than someone, a beginner with a grand instrument. And I think that's sort of what you're saying.
Pretty much. Technique is everything with a handgun, because it offers you nothing. A handgun is the hardest firearm manufactured to control. There's no stock.
Right.
It's short. It's relatively compact. It's hard to drive. It would be like a very high-performance sports car. And it offers you really nothing in it's like driving a sports car on ice. It wants to get away from you every time that you accelerate.
Well, that's another reason that we encourage people to get out and learn to shoot their guns. I think that is so important. Jerry, tell me, what advantage would the longer barrel, the long gun, have over the short gun?
Well, you know, Johnny, it offers about the same advantage as the old Kentucky black powder rifle with a 40-inch barrel compared to a rifle with a 16-inch barrel. You have a lot longer sight radius. That translates down to the sighting is less critical along the sight radius. You can get away with a little bit more error. Where the real short gun like this, if your front sight is over to the side of the rear sight blade, at 100 yards it'll be several feet off. With this one it would be inches.
A few inches off.
Right.
Well, now I've seen you shoot both of these guns comparatively the same speed.
Right.
With apparently good accuracy too. So of course I realize that the longer gun is easier to shoot fast and accurate.
Well, one thing, we had to shoot bowling pins one time with the short guns, and I had a rude awakening to how hard it was to shoot. I had to change my technique. I had to adapt to the smaller gun, and the biggest problem with the smaller guns there, Johnny, was the stocks being so small. There was nothing really to hold on to with your weak hand. When you're shooting a bowling pin, it's a relatively small target, and you want to hit it center. You want to drive it straight off the table. So you have to have a gun that is fast and very accurate. Or you want to try to shoot it in a very accurate manner. And a little bitty gun like this with the small stocks, the way I used to shoot a revolver like this would wrap the thumbs over on the side, which is the way I'll shoot a full-size gun. But being there's no stock here to hold on to, when you try to shoot it fast and keep it in line, it would walk around. Very hard to drive straight. So I'd come up with the idea of putting the thumb up on the web with a strong hand. That's one thing we've tried. We've tried just about every way to shoot a revolver except stick your big toe in there, you know, and try to pull it. But just small technique changes really make a large difference on your overall performance with any revolver. Just trying to adapt to each change, stock, sights, barrel combinations.
Well, of course, the advantage of a small revolver is portability. It's easier to have a small gun with you.
Very much.
But again, it gets back, I think, to what we said earlier. You just got to go out and shoot your gun and learn to. Would you recommend? I know a lot of people. They may have 6, 8, 10 handguns, and they'll take 4 or 5 to the range any one day, and they'll shoot a whole bunch. What do you recommend? How many guns would you take out to the range if you're going to shoot?
Well, if you own all these and you take them out to the range, that's good. You want to, when you have them at hand like this, to try one against the other, it's very obvious to see what's different. If you shoot just one for a period of several months and you went back and grabbed another one, it's hard to compare what the actual performance is. This is where I can step to the line, I can grab this long gun, shoot it a while, and say, oh, I see what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And when I grab the other gun, the short gun, it'll show me right away what's right and wrong with that grip or that technique style, that particular gun. So it makes a big difference.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jerry, we really appreciate you taking time. Well, you're going to do a little shooting for us on some pins or on something here.
All right, I might do that, shoot some pins with that revolver.
Okay. Well, sir, I was impressed. I'm sure our audience was too. How much time was that?
That's 2.45.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station. And now, friends, we're going to go to our support group. We have Gearlings Equipment. They're in Riverside, California. They rent scrapers, dozers, packers, a lot of other things. You can give them a call at area 909-354-6476. We also have shooters.com on the internet there, a vast number of internet shooting websites. Again, www.shooters.com. Also, our good friend Dennis Crocker, who's selling our holsters for our 460 Rowland. Also, Dennis is a firearms trainer there in South Carolina. You can call him, area 864-587-8722. We have custom leather work in Saddlery and Denham Springs, Louisiana. All kinds of leather work. You can find them at area 225-667-9225. Also, Camouflage Technologies. These folks paint gun stocks better than anyone else. You can call them at area 909-674-6488. We have BC Armory there in East Leroy, Michigan. Bruce works on pistols and revolvers. His number is area 616-729-5508. Also, if you're around Tuscumbia or Sheffield, Florence, Alabama, Wade Cottrell with Cottrell Refrigeration, Heating, and Cooling can take care of your refrigeration needs. His number is area 256-38